25 interesting Christmas facts you probably didn't know before this second.
Christmas wasn't always on December 25th. Though Christmas celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, there is no mention of December 25th in the Bible. Most historians actually believe Jesus was born in the spring, not the winter. And his birthday itself didn't become the official holiday until the 3rd century. Some historians posit that the date was actually chosen because it coincided with the pagan festival of Saturnalia, which honored the agricultural god Saturn with celebrating and gift-giving.
You can thank Prince Albert for your Christmas tree. You might want to brew a cup of tea when decking your halls this year. The origin of Christmas trees goes all the way back to ancient Egyptians and Romans, who marked the winter solstice with evergreens as a reminder that spring would return soon. But it wasn't until Prince Albert of Germany introduced the tree to his new wife, Queen Victoria of England, that the tradition really took off. A drawing of the couple in front of a Christmas tree appeared in Illustrated London Newsway back in 1848, and as we say today, the idea went viral.
Saint Nick was more generous than jolly. You probably already knew that the idea of Santa Claus came from Saint Nicholas, but the real saint wasn't a bearded man who wore a red suit and had a long, white beard. That all came much later. According to legend, the 4th century Christian bishop gave away his abundant inheritance to help the needy and rescued women from servitude. As the tale made the rounds, his name became Sinterklaas in Dutch. That later morphed into Santa Claus, and the rest of the trappings followed.
Coca-Cola played a huge part in Santa's image. Craving a Coke yet? Give it a second. According to Coca-Cola, Santa used to look a lot less jolly-even spooky. Go ahead. Google early images of Santa. We'll wait. It wasn't until the beverage company hired an illustrator named Haddon Sundblom in 1931 to create images of Santa for magazine advertisements that we got the warm and friendly Santa we know today. Now, kids wouldn't fear interrupting Santa's nightly work.
Hanging stockings started with an accident. According to legend, we hang out stockings by the chimney with care thanks to a poor man who didn't have the money for his 3 daughters' dowries. Generous old Saint Nick, remember, that's his trademark, dropped a bag of gold down their chimney one night, where the girls had hung their stockings to dry by the fire. That's where the gold ended up, and allegedly how the tradition began.
Jingle Bells was originally a Thanksgiving song. Turns out, we didn't originally go dashing through the snow for just Christmas. James Lord Pierpont wrote a song called One Horse Open Sleigh, and performed it at his church's Thanksgiving concert originally. Then, in 1857, the song was republished under the title it still holds today, and it eventually became one of the most popular Christmas songs.
Astronauts broadcast Jingle Bells from space. This prank almost went too far. 9 days before Christmas in 1965, the 2 astronauts aboard Gemini 6 suddenly sent an odd report to Mission Control that they saw an unidentified flying object about to enter Earth's atmosphere, traveling in the polar orbit from north to south. They interrupted the tense report with the sound of Jingle Bells, with Wally Schirra playing a small harmonica and accompanied by Tom Stafford with a handful of small sleigh bells they had smuggled aboard for that very occasion.
Celebrating Christmas used to be illegal. By the time the Puritans settled Boston, celebrating Christmas was outlawed. Talk about missing the Christmas spirit. From 1659 to 1681, Anyone caught making merry would face a fine for celebrating the once pagan day. And, after the Revolutionary War, the new Congress found the day so unimportant that they even held the first session on December 25, 1789. Christmas wasn't proclaimed a federal holiday for nearly another century, proving that the Grinch's notorious hatred of the holiday was alive and well long before he was.
The settlers created the first American batch of eggnog. The Jamestown settlers created the first American batch of eggnog, although it may not have tasted quite the way the eccentric concoction does today. The word nog comes from the word grog, that is, any drink made with rum. So technically, an early nog didn't really require the rich, milky base we now recognize on grocery store shelves and ladle out of Grandma's cat crystal punch bowl.
Christmas decorating sends nearly 15,000 people to the ER. If you've ever watched Clark Griswold try to decorate his house in Christmas Vacation, or any number of other holiday movie mishaps, that probably doesn't come as much of a surprise. In fact, the Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates that 14,700 people visit hospital emergency rooms each November and December from holiday-related decorating accidents. So please, be careful when you're decking the halls.
Santa has his own zip code in Canada. Every year, letters to Santa Claus flood post offices across the world, and every year, parents have to find a way to either answer them or explain to the kiddos why their letter got lost in the mail, further cementing their reputation as one of the nicest countries going. Some big-hearted Canadian post office workers even started answering them. As more letters arrived, they set up a special zip code for Santa as part of a Santa letter writing program, literacy initiative. The zip code? HOHOHO.
Dry Christmas trees spark more than joy. For the love of Christmas, don't forget to water your live tree. Dried Christmas trees spark about 100 fires each year, cause an average of 10 deaths, and result in $15.7 million in property damage, the Consumer Product Safety Commission reports. Not only will an errant spark ruin your holiday, it can put both you and firefighters who respond to the blaze in danger. Are you convinced to switch to an artificial Christmas tree yet?
We ship a crazy amount of packages around the holidays. Between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day last year, the United States Postal Service delivered an estimated 850 million packages. In addition to 15 billion pieces of mail. That's including gifts for faraway loved ones, heartfelt cards, letters to Santa, and those dreaded credit card statements after we gleefully charge all of our holiday purchases. Oops. So cut your mail carrier some slack. They're really pulling double duty this time of year.
The term Xmas dates back to the 1500 seconds. Think Xmas is an edgy, relatively new way to abbreviate Christmas, or a secular attempt to take the Christ out of Christmas. Think again. According to From Adam's Apple to Xmas, an essential vocabulary guide for the politically correct, the word Christianity was spelled Zianity as far back as 1100. X or chi in Greek is the first letter of Christ, and served as a symbolic stand-in. In 1551, the holiday was called Xmas, but eventually shortened to Xmas. So really, Xmas is just as Christian as the longer version.
About 90% of Americans celebrate Christmas. It may feel like Christmas is everywhere from October, or earlier, right on through New Year's, and that's because most Americans like to Jingle Bell rock their way right through the season. In addition, the Pew Research Center's findings found that fewer people think of Christmas as a religious holiday. Nowadays, only 51% of those people who celebrate attend church on Christmas. They don't say how many of those people make that their twice-annual appearance.
Americans spent nearly $1,000 on gifts, according to the National Retail Federation's findings in 2017. Consumers say they'll spend $967.13 for the holidays on average, although individual spending can vary widely. In 2018, total retail sales in November and December hit $717.45 billion, a truly startling number. Homemade Christmas gifts.
Mistletoe was considered an aphrodisiac. The holiday flora is an ancient symbol of fertility and virility, and the Druids believed it was an actual aphrodisiac. So keep that in mind next time someone jokes about meeting you under the mistletoe. The name itself even has a funny meaning. Mistle thrush birds eat the plant's berries, digest the seeds, and then the droppings eventually grow into new plants. So, the Germanic word for mistletoe literally means dung on a twig. Romantic.
Ham, not turkey, is the festive favorite. Some families cook up a turkey for Christmas dinner, others go for ham, and still more go rogue and stick a leg of lamb or another protein in the oven. For the most prevalent meat, just ask Google. Searches for ham and turkey both spike during the month of December, according to Google Trends data. Although it's nowhere near how frequently turkey gets hunted online in November. Despite the popularity of both festive entrees, spiral-cut ham remains the more popular choice for a Christmas table. The jury's still out on whether people prefer ham or turkey sandwiches the day after, though.
Candy canes got their start in Germany. The National Confectioners Association says a choirmaster originally gave the candies to young children so they'd stay quiet during long church services. Grandmas who still dole out sweets during long sermons, you have got history on your side. But it wasn't until a German-Swedish immigrant decorated his tree with candy canes in 1847 that they became popular as a Christmas candy. Today, we'd hardly recognize the season without those little red and white stripes.
The Rockefeller Christmas tree started small. The first tree at Rockefeller Center probably looked more like Charlie Brown's than the resplendent one today. Construction workers at the center of its site first placed a small, undecorated tree there in 1931. 2 years later, another tree appeared in its place, this time with lights. These days, the giant Rockefeller Center tree is laden with over 25,000 Christmas lights and visited by millions of selfie takers each season.
Washington Irving created many Santa legends. You may know Washington Irving best for the legend of Sleepy Hollow and his headless horseman, but he wrote a lot about St. Nicholas, too. In fact, he was the first to imagine Santa Claus and his 8 tiny reindeer. He so loved Santa Claus that in 1835, he helped found the St. Nicholas Society of the City of New York, serving as its secretary until 1841.
Norway donates the tree in Trafalgar Square. Londoners and visitors probably know the tall, iconic spruce that stretches to the sky in Trafalgar Square each year, but did you know where it comes from? Every year, since 1947, the people of Norway have gifted the people of London a Christmas tree to place in the public courtyard. They donate the tree in gratitude for Britain's support for Norway during World War II. Now that's what we call goodwill toward men.
This Christmas gift held a life-saving secret. During World War II, the United States playing card company joined forces with American and British intelligence agencies to create a very special deck of cards. They gave out the cards as Christmas gifts to help Allied prisoners of war escape from German POW camps. Individual cards peeled apart when moistened to reveal maps of escape routes. Sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.
Your Christmas tree probably took a real trip. Unless you cut it yourself, your fresh Christmas tree probably spent weeks out of the ground before it made it to your local retailer. And while you may have visions of hiking into the woods, 98% of American trees today are grown on farms, mostly in California, Oregon, Michigan, Washington, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, the country's top Christmas tree producing states.
Tinsel has a long history. Tinsel was first invented in 1610 in Germany and was once made of real silver, making it far from the chintzy throwaway decoration it is now. It also has an edgy history. The United States government once banned tinsel because it contained lead and could contribute to lead poisoning. But never fear, now it's made of plastic, not silver or lead. However, you should still use caution if you have pets or small children, since it's still harmful if swallowed.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos.